Hey you guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, today we are doing my eyeshadow palette declutter, which I am really excited about. Couple of things before we get into it. Number one, I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes, a lot. This, what you're looking at on camera, is not even half of what I have. I have a lot of palettes, and I'm trying to fit all of them into this one video. So I am going to spend not too much time on like swatching or talking about quality and things like that. If you have any questions about any of them, feel free to leave me a comment. I would happily answer in the replies or even make a dedicated video to whatever subject within the palette collection that you want me to talk more about. Number two, yes, I have a lot of palettes. And if you're the kind of person who really likes a declutter video where people are super ruthless and they get rid of half of their stuff, this is not going to be that kind of video. I have collected these palettes over many years. Most of them I purchased myself, and what I didn't purchase I probably received as a gift. So, you know, most of them have some kind of meaning to me, and many of them have a great deal of sentimental value attached to them. So, yes, I'm aware it's a lot. But this is what I collect, this is what makes me happy, and it's my collection, so I'm gonna hang on to as many as I'm happy having around. However, I would like to at least kind of make a dent. That being said, lots of rambling, lots of disclaimers. Grab a drink, grab a snack. This is gonna be a long one. Let's get started. So I wanna get started with what's in front of me here, which is all of my ColourPop palettes. I am a little bit of a connoisseur of ColourPop. I'm a really big fan of their formula, love their price point, obviously, and they do a lot of collabs with, like, shows and movies and stuff that I like. Case in point, first I have both of the Sailor Moon collab palettes. I will never get rid of these because I have a very sentimental connection to Sailor Moon. This is the first one. It's the Pretty Guardian palette. It's very beautiful, very cute. But the reason I am so passionate about my Sailor Moon palettes, I've talked about this in a couple of my other declutters where I have Sailor Moon collection items. I grew up watching Sailor Moon. I bonded with my best friend since I was a toddler over watching Sailor Moon. We have matching moon tattoos in honor of it, so it's something very special to me, so I definitely collect the Sailor Moon merch from ColourPop. This is the new palette for Love and Justice, which I think is absolutely adorable, and I love the color story. I haven't even gotten to play with this one yet because it's so new to me, but I'm very excited to get a chance to do that. So obviously, my Sailor Moon palettes will not be going anywhere. Next, I have another favorite of mine from ColourPop. This is the Sweet Talk palette. It's this cute, cute, cute coral and gold kind of color story. It's so much fun in the spring and summer. So love this one. I use it a lot. This is the So Very Lovely palette, and I really like this color story, but I feel like I don't use it enough. I really, really love this like light purple, this coral pink, but I don't know how likely I am to use this palette all together. One thing about the ColourPop palettes is that you can actually pop the pans out. They're all magnetic. So one thing I'm thinking about doing with this one is actually popping out some of the pans that I like. I'm going to set this one aside as like a maybe to possibly pop some pans out. Because I really like some of the shades in this, but I feel like I never use it as like a cohesive palette. This one is an oldie but a goodie, you guys. This is Dream Street. It's the Kathleen Lights collab from forever ago. I love this color story. I have used this palette so much. I know it's old, but it still performs beautifully, and I still love the colors, so it's staying. This is one of ColourPop's best 12 pans in terms of quality. This is the Limoncello palette. It feels a little heavier than the other palettes. It has a mirror in it. The pans are bigger, and the quality of this is so beautiful. This Capri shade, like 100% convinced me to buy the palette. Like, I know I said I wasn't going to do too many swatches, but that one is so crazy. Just the most insane metallic lime green ever. It makes such a fun summer look, so of course this one is staying as well. I definitely won't be getting rid of any of my ColourPop collab palettes because they 100% sucker me in with the different stuff they collab with. So this is Avatar: The Last Airbender. This was one of my favorite shows when I was younger. I think the packaging is absolutely precious. And I love how they broke down the color story into the different elements. I think it's super cute, and obviously because it's a collab, I'm going to hang on to it. Speaking of which, the Star Wars collab, of course. Star Wars was like one of the first things I became obsessed with as a kid, so when I saw they were doing a whole Star Wars collection, I bought a bunch of it. The color story is actually really, really cute and fun to play with, and the artwork is just stunning. So my little nerd heart had to have it. These are my 2 mega palettes. So this is the first one they ever came out with, which was also a collab with Kathleen Lights. It's So Jaded. I've actually replaced a couple of the shades in here with ColourPop singles from other palettes. There were 2 glitters that I replaced, and then I accidentally got a duplicate of, I think it was this shade Tiger Eye. There was another one in here, and I wanted the matte brown, so I pulled a matte brown from another palette and put it in there. But I love this palette. I love the jewel tones. I love that you can really mix the jewel tones with neutrals. This Super Shock shade up here has been very well loved. I use this all the time still, and I love it. This is Stone Cold Fox. When I saw they were doing a cool toned option, I was really intrigued, and I definitely have not been disappointed. This is a beautiful palette. The shimmers in this are like absolutely crazy, especially at the price point. This silver shimmer is so high impact. Look how shiny that is. It's crazy. So for cool tone lovers, if you're looking for a whole bunch of cool tones in different color families at a really decent price, this is an amazing option for that. Love this one. All right, on to our next stack. I decided to change my lighting a little bit because I felt like it was a little too blinding, so hopefully that helps. This is the ColourPop Quad in Cream Soda. The formula in this is super beautiful. It's really high quality, and it just makes a really easy neutral look, but with a little bit of glam in it because those shimmer shades are so sparkly and shiny. So I really enjoy this. I'd like to pick up more of the quads because the formula is super nice. This is the only little 5-pan I picked up from them. It's the green one in the color High Society. It's really, really cute. The quality of these are awesome. I don't use greens all the time, so I didn't want to pick up the 9-pan version, like the 9-pan monochromatic one. And I've been really happy with this one. I've used it for like Mardi Gras looks and stuff like that, and it turns out really, really pretty. So I'm glad I have it on hand. Getting into my 9-pan palettes, I have a ton of these, so let's go quick. This is the Mandalorian collab palette, which of course I will be hanging on to because it is a collab and it's the Mandalorian. I love that show. Love this color story. And even more than I love that one, I love the Baby Yoda one. It's called the Child palette, but he's Baby Yoda, let's be honest. Super adorable green color story. I love using these green tones. So much fun. It's like playing with green without going like this green. You know what I mean? Super pretty. This one is Lil Ray of Sunshine. It was the little sunflower one they came out with. The matte quality in here is absolutely beautiful. These are really high-performing mattes. My only thing is I almost never pull this out to do a full look with it just because it is all matte. There's no shimmers in there, so I feel like I can't really get a full look. I think I might put this in the same stack as So Very Lovely and just pull out a couple of these to keep as singles. For example, that matte yellow is insanely pigmented and beautiful, so I feel like I'd get some use out of these if I kept them to use in like custom palettes, you know? So I'll pull out my favorite shades from this one as well. Maybe I'll do another video showing you which shades I pull out of the ones that I decide to depot some shades from. Let me know if you'd be interested in that, but I'm gonna put this in that pile. This I 100% bought just because it was wine themed. Yeah, this is the Wine and Only palette. It's a beautiful color story. I will be the first to admit that I do not use it very often because it is very vampy and glam. However, it's beautiful. The shadows perform great. But more importantly, it's wine themed. So obviously I'm keeping it. Yeah, it really is that shallow. This is my all-time favorite ColourPop palette. As you can see, she's been well loved. This is Going Coconuts. I love this palette with all of my heart and soul. I travel with this constantly. I use this constantly. You can pry this out of my hands. Actually, you can pry it out of my hands probably soon because I'm probably going to pick up a new one because one of the shades is popping out and one of them is crumbling. So for now, this one's going to stay, but it's probably going to end up getting replaced by a repurchase of it. This one is another favorite. It is Making Mauves. Really beautiful color story. That Super Shock one is so much fun to use. I'm just a really big fan of these colors with my eye color. I have green eyes, and these look so good with my eye color, so love this one. Definitely holding on to it. Then we get into these monochromatic palettes, and I'm kind of torn on what I want to do with these because I really don't do a lot of super colorful looks anymore, but it also feels like a little collection, you know? This one is Honey. It's the yellow one. I really feel like it's just so cute. However, I've always felt like some of the yellows in this one are a little hard to work with. I feel like they're just not as pigmented as I want them to be. You know what I might do actually is take some of the shades from this and some of the shades from Lil Ray of Sunshine and combine them in the Lil Ray of Sunshine packaging because I like the cardboard better. That way I'll have mattes that perform really well and shimmers that perform really well. That's actually exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to combine these. So this one's also going to go in the depot pile. Again, let me know if you want to see a video of that. I'd be happy to show you what I end up doing. This one is Mint to Be, and really I keep this one on hand just because I don't really have colors like this anywhere else in my collection. And because they're so affordable, you know, it's not like I make mint green looks all the time by any stretch, but whenever I want to pull for a mint green of any type of, you know, depth or matte or shimmer or anything, this is there. So that's kind of why I hang on to it. This one is Blue Moon. This is a classic for blue looks. But again, I just don't do blue looks all that often. And if I do, I'm pulling for other stuff, number one. And number two, some of these, I'm looking at you, clued in, are hard panning really badly. So I might depot some of these as well. So that's going to go in the depot pile. It's My Pleasure in Lilac You a Lot. I kind of have to talk about it at the same time because I ended up combining the shades from these two palettes and kind of mixing them up between each other because I felt like some of the shades in It's My Pleasure worked better as lilacs and some of the shades in Lilac You a Lot worked better as purples. So this is not what the palettes originally looked like. That being said, I feel like once again, I would just get more use out of some of these if I pulled them out and used them separately because I almost never pull for these palettes. And if I want to grab some of these shades, I can go to my singles. So that's what I'm going to do because I don't necessarily want to keep all of these. That's kind of why Mint to Be ended up being kept as a whole palette, but like these and Blue Moon and stuff, I'm going to pull some shades, but not all of them. I kind of want to hold on to all the shades in this one, so that's kind of why I'm doing that differently. But yeah, those are going in the depot pile as well. This one, I'm actually just going to go ahead and declutter completely. This is a glitter from the So Jaded palette. So I might actually pull that back out because those are some of the only pressed glitters I like. But yeah, this palette, I've replaced some of the shades already. It was fine, but it was really never my kind of color story, so I don't think I'll really miss it. I will miss the packaging. I might actually hold on to the packaging so that I can use my ColourPop singles to make little custom 9-pans. I would love to carry a little 9-pan around in this packaging. So decluttering the palette, but keeping the packaging. I'm just going to get rid of the shadows in the palette, if that makes sense. The magnetic shadow thing makes decluttering ColourPop kind of complicated. Baby Got Peach is absolutely going to stay as is. This is one of my favorite of the monochromatic palettes that I ever got. I really love this. I even love that pressed glitter. I think it's absolutely stunning. This makes such beautiful pastel pink looks, so I love this one. Definitely not going anywhere. This is another one of my favorites because, of course, it's neutral. Showed it upside down. That's Taupe. Beautiful cool tone color story. This Super Shock is crazy gorgeous. I love using this. This one and Going Coconuts are probably my two most used. Lust for Dusk is a beautiful sort of muted jewel tones and earth tone kind of palette. It's a really unique color story. I don't think I have any other palette in my collection that's quite like this one, so I'm really happy I have it. Quality in here is incredible. Some of these shiftier shades are incredible. I love this. This is my newest addition to my ColourPop collection, and it is quickly becoming one of my favorite ColourPop palettes. This is not a box of chocolates. The packaging is adorable. The quality is second to none from ColourPop. These might be the best ColourPop shadows I've ever tried. They are stunning. The mattes are buttery smooth. The shimmers are super high impact. I am so glad I finally picked this up. And last but certainly not least for ColourPop, of course, I have the Harry Potter collab palette. Obviously, I'll be hanging on to it because it is a collab. Look how cute. I feel like it probably didn't need to be this big. I do get a little bit overwhelmed by how big it is, but I do love that they came up with all these clever, creative names. Obviously, not because I use it the most, but because I am one. My favorite shade is Ravenclaw. So, yes, this is absolutely not going anywhere. I'm such a Harry Potter stan, and I love this. So, most of the ColourPop palettes are staying, but these are the ones that I will be pulling some shadows from to keep with my single shadows. And these two, I'm going to pick shadows that I want and combine them all into one palette. So, again, let me know if you're interested in seeing that on camera. Let's move on to some things that are not ColourPop. I'll just grab this first stack and we'll get started there. This is the Item Beauty In My Element palette. I have no idea if you can even get this anymore, but my mom got it in a BoxyCharm or something, and she doesn't really wear colors like this much, so she gave it to me. I enjoy it. I think the mattes have a really beautiful buttery feel, and the shimmers are super sparkly and fun. I feel like it's easy to do just like a warm tone look or a cool tone look, and I feel like I need to pull for this more because it kind of gets lost in the back of my drawer. But that's why we're decluttering, so I'm hanging on to this for now. These are some of the best shimmers ever made, drugstore high-end anywhere. These are the Flower Beauty Jungle Lights and Desert Lights palette. I cannot say enough good things about how beautiful the quality of these shimmers is. Yeah, they're like almost 20 bucks each, which is a lot for the drugstore, but I get it. The quality is worth that price and then some, so I love these. These are all of my ABH palettes, and I'm definitely not getting rid of any of them, so I'll just show them all to you really quickly. This one's the newest to my collection. I got it half off at Ulta for Cyber Monday. It is the Rose Metals palette. Crazy beautiful. The shimmers are so high impact. I'm so glad I got my hands on this. My favorite ABH palette, the Jackie Aina collab. Never was there ever a more beautiful ABH palette. I love her. The classic Soft Glam. Anyone who was anyone in 2018 had this palette, right? Norvina, of course. The shimmers in here were so crazy top-notch. Pops of pink and purple were super fun. And of course, anyone who was anyone in 2016 had the Modern Renaissance palette. This is just such a staple in makeup history. And then the Sultry palette, the palette that came and went so quickly, but has been very beloved by everyone who got their hands on it. Gorgeous. Cool tone color story. Love this one. So yeah, ABH, old but classic. She goes nowhere. This is a palette from Collab. They're a brand at like Sally Beauty Supply. This is cute, but I never pull for it, ever. So, as much as I like the whole, like, coral with a pop of mint thing, I can make that with my own palettes and my own shadows. I don't really need to have this around, so I'll pass that along. This is the Huda Beauty Mauve Obsessions palette. I've had this for a really long time, and I never reach for it, number one. And number two, I feel like if I want this color story, I'm going to pull out my Natasha Denona Retro palette. So I feel like this is kind of redundant for me at this point, and it's so old, and I never reach for it, so I'm going to let this one go as well. I thought I was going to keep it, actually, but no, I'm okay with that. This one, though, is the Nude Light Obsessions. It's newer to me and so beautiful. Look at those sparkly shimmers. I just can't. It's so gorgeous. So this one's not going anywhere, of course. This one, I love this one. The Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. An absolute classic. Look at those beautiful colors. You can go so neutral. You can add those pops of color and do something really fun. I love this one, and the quality is insane. The BH Weekend Festival is such an old classic, but I never, ever pull this out anymore, and I probably won't. So I think it's time for her to go. It's been fun. We had fun together, but I just never pull for this kind of thing anymore, so we're moving on. We're moving on from Weekend Festival. Elf Earth and Ocean has a very pretty color story, and honestly, I thought I was gonna pull for it more. I just really don't. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. The color story's beautiful, the quality's really nice. I just never, ever reach for it. So I feel like I have all of these colors in my collection in formulas that I like more, though, you know? So I'm gonna pass this along as well, actually. Look at me. I definitely did not think that I was gonna get rid of these. It just kind of is happening as we go. This one I actually love, though. This is the Elf Retro Paradise, and some of the shades in here are just so fun that I have to hang on to it. And I love having this kind of a fun option in a really affordable formula, so it's just so cute, especially in the summertime. It's so fun. So I have no guilt about hanging on to that. This I love forever. The Alamar Reina del Caribe, so slept on, I feel like. I mean, it got hyped for a while, but then everybody basically decluttered it. I will not be doing that, and I'll show you why. Look how stunning that is. It's gorgeous. Also, it has both orange and blue in it, so it's perfect for when I need to do a look to go to an Astros game. I pull for this every time. So these are my Alter Ego palettes. Alter Ego is a brand that does like dupes of high-end palettes. So these are all dupes of Natasha Denona. So this is Shadow Kiss. It's a dupe of the Glam palette. I like having this one. I like that I can do the same looks as you can do with the Glam palette, but I didn't have to spend that kind of money. The quality is really good. I need to pull this forward in my drawer and try to remember to use it more. Same with the Goddess palette, actually. This is a dupe of the Gold palette, which you can't even get anymore, which is such a shame, but love the like shifty gold shades combined with the teals. I feel like it's very up my alley in terms of what I like to do with makeup, so this stays as well. The Artemis palette, though, I don't know. I feel like I was underwhelmed by the Artemis palette. It's fine. This is a dupe of the Metropolis palette. They introduced kind of a dupe of the cream to powder formula, and it's okay, but it's definitely not the same quality as Natasha's cream to powder. Also, I feel like there are only a few like really sparkly high impact shimmers in here, and the rest are just kind of like they're kind of metallic, but not really. And in some of these deeper jewel tones, I'm just not that likely to use them, so I feel like this can get passed along. Somebody else will get a lot more use out of it than I do. There's nothing really wrong with it, it's just not really something I need to have. Alrighty, next stack. These are my little baby quads. This one's from Shop Miss A. It is $1 or like $1.50 or something, and it's actually really, really beautiful. I showed it in my November haul video if you're interested, but I actually really like this, and for $1, it's like pretty solid quality. My e.l.f. bite-size palettes, if you've been around here, you know I love them. Cream and Sugar is my favorite. Super easy to make neutral looks. These shimmers are crazy high impact. Gorgeous. Pumpkin Pie, perfect for like a fall time neutral look. Warm tone, gorgeous. Love it. Truffles, fun for like the glam times. That silver is so much fun to work with. However, Hot Jalapeno, I was really excited about because I love these colors. I love doing like an olive green look with gold and that kind of thing. But the quality just did not hold up to the other ones that I tried. So I am going to go ahead and pass this one on. It's a shame. I was so excited, but the quality wasn't the same. The mattes were nowhere near as blendable. This shimmer was pretty high impact, but this one was kind of lackluster. So This one's gonna go. This is my old, busted, walking on eggshells quad from Wet n Wild, but I will not be getting rid of it because I use this all the time. It kind of just sits up on the top of my drawers, and whenever I'm doing my makeup in a hurry, I can just like grab that and throw it on my lower lash line, throw that in my inner corner. I just like having it around. I use it a lot, so I'm keeping it. Juvia's Place, let's get into it. The taupes, gorgeous, love it. Those shimmers are crazy. She stays. The mauves, hello. Look at that gorgeous color with the green shift. Absolutely. The Nomad, fall in a palette. That shimmer in the middle is so multi-dimensional. I know it looks like a plain, like, bronzy gold type of color. It's so interesting and multi-dimensional. I love this. The Deuce. I know it's kind of an intimidating color story, and I feel like I don't pull for it nearly as often as I should, but it's one of my favorite color stories that Juvia's Place ever did, and it makes me feel creative, and I love a palette that makes me feel creative, so I'm hanging on to it for that reason. Possibly the best ever Juvia's Place palette, in my humble opinion, the Saharan 2. I love those shimmers. They are so insanely gorgeous. The mattes are so rich and beautiful, and it kind of looks like a palette you couldn't get a full look out of, but again, it makes me feel creative, it challenges my creativity, and I love that about it. Safari Rain, you cannot get anymore, which is a travesty because this is a work of art. The shimmers in here are insanity. I'm gonna show you Lioness. I have to. I can't open this palette without swatching Lioness. Ugh. So beautiful. Keeping forever. And then this is the Glamlight Barbie palette. It was my first foray into Glamlight's formula. I picked it up just in time to go to the Barbie movie, and I have not been disappointed. It is such a fun color story to play with. The shimmers are some of the most shiny, sparkly, colorful shimmers I've ever used, and the mattes are gorgeous. I love this. Couple more stacks. We're keeping it pushing. These two smaller palettes are newer to me. This is the Dancing Green from Essence. I've only used this on my eyes once. It was fine. I feel like for all the hype this palette got, I expected the quality to be a little bit higher. The look I did came out pretty, but I did kind of have to work with it more than I thought I would have to. I'm interested in giving it a couple more tries because it is so new, but honestly, I'm not sure if I love this. I might try a few more of the little 6 pans from Essence because I've heard some of them are incredible. This one, it's kind of a maybe for now. This one is so new I haven't even tried it yet. It's the LA Girl 4-play palette in Cowgirl. I just really like the kind of greeny tone to those shimmers. I'm excited to play with it, and I'll let you know what I think. Let's talk about my BH palettes, shall we? I love BH. I love BH. The quality of these is insanity, so I don't see any of these going anywhere. Travel palettes, Smitten in Switzerland, beautiful, muted, jewel and earth tones. Lost in Los Angeles, the fun pastels, and these shimmers have such fun shifts to them. And my favorite, the brunch palettes. Blueberry Muffin, insanely gorgeous blues. Some of the only blues you ever need, really. Avocado Toast, my favorite BH palette ever. Such a gorgeous color story. You can do really, really green. You can do neutral. You can work a little green in with your neutral. The options are really there. And then this fun summertime one, Mimosa. Gorgeous, bright, fun. The quality just as good. I love these. All right, and a few stragglers here. I have some Dose of Colors 5 pans, Sassy Siennas, which I love. This matte formula is crazy. Baked Browns, which is my go-to. I use this so much when I just want to pull for some brown mattes. Gorgeous. This is Snow Angels, and I was really excited when I picked this up. These colors are gorgeous, but I never, ever pull for this because I just feel like I don't really know how to make a look with it. And maybe I'm just uncreative, but I think I'm going to pass this one along just because it just doesn't really have a role in my collection. Also, I feel like they are a little harder pressed than the original kind of 5-pan mats, and it makes them a little bit more difficult to use. Not hard, but a little harder than the formula I'm used to. So this is going to get passed along. Wow, I'm proud of myself for that because I pined over that palette. This, of course, is going to stay. Hello, packaging. This is the Friendcation palette. This was a moment in makeup history. I love this. These shimmer shades are so high impact and gorgeous. This was such a moment. You really had to be there. Colored Rain Queen of Hearts is another one that is just such a classic in the beauty community that I'm not sure I can ever get rid of it. I feel like I never pull for it anymore, which is a shame because it makes gorgeous eye looks. I need to make a concerted effort to pull this out. But even if I don't use it very often, it was such a moment that I feel like it's going to be part of my, like, archive of palettes forever. So I'm keeping it, if only for the sentimental value. Similar to that, Dominique Cosmetics Berries and Cream. This has very special place in my heart. It's sentimental to me. I received it as a gift and it was very special, so definitely hanging on to it. I really don't pull for it very often. It's not a color story that I typically go for, but I feel like I do get pretty creative when I pull it out, so I'd like to do that more, but either way, because it was a special gift, I'm gonna hang on to it. All right, those are all the palettes I have sitting in front of me on this table. Time to go get the rest. All right, I've got all the rest of my palettes sitting in front of me, so let's keep it pushing. We've got a lot of these left. This is the Michaela Nogueira collab with Glamlight. I found this at TJ Maxx actually for like 20 bucks. The packaging I think is adorable. The glitter, super cute. I know that Michaela is kind of like, there's very mixed opinions on Michaela as an influencer, but I really like Glamlight's formula and I thought this color story was really, really cute. So, plus I got it from TJ Maxx, so I like it. I'm glad I have it. This is my favorite LA Girl palette. It's the Pro Artistry palette. Mine is busted, but that's okay. This is the color story. The formula is insane for being a drugstore palette. The shimmers are super high impact. The mattes are buttery smooth. This is like a top-notch quality palette. I don't think they sell this specific one anywhere anymore, but LA Girl's eyeshadows are pretty consistently awesome. I finally got to try the ABH Norvina palettes this year. I've been really enjoying the formula of these. This is volume 4, which I found at a Marshall's. And unfortunately, one of the shades was broken. But that's okay, because I still have all the rest of them, and I can get my finger into that pan up at the top and get a little bit of that pink glitter. But this is really, really beautiful, and I think the color story is really fun. And then I picked up volume 5 when it went on sale at Sephora for like half off. And the color story of this one, I think, is even more beautiful. Isn't that so stunning? The combination of the neutrals and the purples is just like, ugh, so much fun. So, love this as well. This is my newest acquisition and currently my pride and joy. It is the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 1. So, it's the original neutral one. And oh my goodness, is it not so beautiful? I know it's basic as all hell, but I like that kind of thing. I love that there's cream shadows in it. The sparkly glitter toppers are so gorgeous. I haven't even put this on my eyes yet, but I'm so excited to. This is so gorgeous. The packaging is going to get fingerprints all over it, though, which is kind of annoying, but worth it. This is the Sydney Grace Tiny Marvels palette. This was a collaboration with Mel Thompson, who unfortunately passed away not too long ago. I love having this. I love this color story. The quality is so unbelievable. These shimmers are like the craziest, most high impact, shiny shimmers ever. Is that not crazy? They're literally like metal. It's gorgeous. So I love Sydney Grace. I loved Mel, and I love this palette. Here we have the Give Me Glow Vintage Rose palette, another really great indie brand. These shadows are gorgeous. I love the color story, and the quality's crazy. They're super high impact, shiny metallics as well, so love that one. And then this is from one of my current go-to brands. This is Nabla's Read My Mind palette. It's very cute. I like that they separate it into like quads, but also you can kind of go across this way, I think. Yeah, they have it separated so that you can do it in quads or in rows. So I think that's really a creative way to organize the palette and make it kind of a user-friendly experience. So I'm a fan of that one as well. Okay, so I'm going to quickly breeze through my Jeffree Star palettes. I don't really talk about Jeffree Star on my channel because I am aware he's kind of a problematic figure. And I don't buy from Jeffree Star anymore. However, I did collect them for a couple of years, and I wasn't just going to get rid of high quality eyeshadow just because he turned out to be kind of a jerk. Regardless, I'm going to show these quickly and then we'll move on. This is the Conspiracy palette. It was a collaboration with Shane Dawson, who is also kind of problematic as it turns out, but I like the color story. Even though it's a little, you know, eclectic, I think it's still fun to play with and the quality's good. This one was Bloodlust. The packaging obviously is insane, but I think it's fun, and it's more of kind of the purple palette. Blue Blood is obviously the blue palette. This was probably my favorite of the palettes. I had such a blue phase because of this one. This one is kind of the OG, which is Blood Sugar. Kind of hard to open, but very fun, like warm tone, pink and red color story. And then finally, the kind of rainbow palette, which was Jawbreaker. This has been good for some, like, event looks where I was going for very specific colors that don't exist anywhere else in my collection. So I'm not saying you should buy Jeffree Star if you find him problematic. I don't buy it anymore, but I keep them around because I spent a lot of money on them and I like the eyeshadow. Anyway, moving along past that, let's hit this stack next. These are my Kaleidos palettes. I really like Kaleidos. Their formula is super, super beautiful. These are the Futurism palettes. The artwork on these is gorgeous. This is Futurism 1, Sci-Fi Green. This is Futurism 7, I believe. Yeah, 7, which is Sashimi City. It's the very neutral lover option. But you have those really fun, sparkly duochromes as well. That one's probably my favorite, obviously. This is Futurism 5, which is Electro Turquoise. I was a turquoise girly for a while, so this is one that I felt like I absolutely needed to have. And I do really like it. It's beautiful. And then this is Futurism 3, Astro Pink. Really gorgeous colors in this one. That shimmer is crazy high shine. And then, of course, I had to pick up the collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist, the Club Nebula palette. I love her channel, and because of that, I had to have it. So that is what this one looks like. The multi-chromes in this are so beautiful and sparkly, and the mattes are so pigmented and so fun to work with. So, love that. And then I have my Sigma palettes, another brand I really enjoy. This one is the Corda Rosa palette. Beautiful, warm, neutrals with a couple of pops of pink in there. This, to me, is like if the modern Renaissance was made in the 2020s, this is what that would have looked like, you know? It's like that vibe, but revamped, and I really like it. This is Untamed, which I think is a beautiful color story. Really rich and fun, and I love that there's like corresponding shades on the top and bottom for a lot of it. It kind of makes it a little bit less intimidating if you don't use color all the time. And then this is the Enchanted palette. Really gorgeous color story. Gives like whimsical forest fairy vibes. I really, really like it. And then this little straggler is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. And I feel like I haven't even thought about this palette in ages. It was a good one, though. This is such a classic. I never really reach for it, but it's just kind of a moment, isn't it? Like, I don't know. This is a piece of makeup history. I don't really use it that often, but like I said earlier, I am okay with keeping things for sentimental value, so I'm going to. I promise I will get rid of some of these, by the way. I know I've been on a long streak of showing ones that I'm keeping, but some of these stacks do have some I think I can get rid of. Bear with me. As a matter of fact, let me grab this stack right here and we can do some actual decluttering. Right off the bat, I see the Ace Beauté Violet Sage palette, which is fine. My mom got this in a BoxyCharm and said I could have it, so I played around with it a little bit. I thought the color story was interesting, and it is. It's just that I don't really use color stories like this often, and if I'm going to use it, I need the quality to be spectacular, and this one's kind of just fine, you know? So somebody will get use out of it, but I pretty much forget that I have it, so I'm going to pass that along. This one is the Wet n Wild Color Icon palette in Nude Awakening. It's like $5, and for being $5, the quality is pretty solid. I like it, it's fine, but I am a neutral girly, and I have so many neutral palettes that I will pull for before I pull for this. So somebody will be glad that they have it. It's a handy little neutral travel palette, but I don't need this, so I'm gonna pass that along as well. This one I'm gonna hang on to. It's my cute little Viseart Midsummer palette. It's just a really easy little mauve-toned moment. The shimmers are really nice and soft and pretty, and the mattes are butter. I mean, Viseart's matte formula is where it's at. It's super, super smooth and blendable, so I like having this around. It's cute. It's just so adorable. Look at it. I think this is my last Tarte palette. This is the Clay Play palette, the one that everybody and their mother had, with the neutral shadows and the bronzers. Oh my god, it smells so good. I never use this, ever. As much as I want to keep it for sentimental value, that's a silly thing to do in this case, because I know somebody else could use it a lot more. Oh, but it's my last Tarte palette, man. I never, ever pull this out, though. Like I said, with neutral palettes, I have an abundance, so I just really don't need one that I'm not reaching for. Yeah, as much as it hurts my soul, I think it's finally this one's time. It's been fun, but I never reach for it anymore. There's nothing wrong with it. The quality is great. It's just that I never pull it out. And I think I'm just kind of over it. So, it's been real. These next few are newer to me, so they're definitely not going anywhere just yet. They are 9 pans from Sydney Grace that I got when they were doing their Black Friday sale. No, not Black Friday. When was this? Christmas in July. That's when I got them. This is the Summer Days palette. I had to get they have like dark and light colorways for a lot of their palettes. And I had to get the dark of a couple of these. I was fine with that because really Sydney Grace's magic is in their shimmers for me for the most part. And the mattes are still definitely usable for my skin tone, so I don't mind it personally. So that's that one. This one is the Coffee Talk palette. Again, had to get the dark color variety, but really beautiful, neutral to cool color story. And I'm a fan of it. It still works fine on my skin tone. And then this is Where the Wild Things Grow, and I just thought this color story was super cute. And again, they were all on like mega sale, so I thought why not have some more Sydney Grace shadows around. Their quality is phenomenal. This one is the Ofra collab with Samantha March, the Life's a Draft palette. The eyeshadows, to be honest with you, are just okay. Like, they're really not super special. The shimmers don't really do anything for me, and the mattes are all right. Mainly, I keep this for the cheek products. This blush is so gorgeous. This bronzer is a wonderful tone. And of course, the highlighter is remarkable because it's Ofra. So literally, because of the cheek products, I am going to hold on to this. As a matter of fact, I might move it to like my face palettes drawer so that I use it for that purpose more often. This is the Good to Go palette. I used this in my makeup on the chopping block video, and I actually was really impressed by it. The cheek products in this one are good. I think the highlighter is the standout, but the eyeshadows are really, really nice too, actually, so I like having this one around, especially as like a summertime travel type option. This one, I really do need to go ahead and just pass on. It's the Fenty Beauty, the Kilowatt Foil. It's supposed to be a highlighter palette, but obviously, like, not all of these are going to work, especially on me, as highlighters. Pretty much those two work as highlighters, none of the rest. That shade in the middle is really the only reason I've even kept it this long. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe I can dig the pan out and just hang on to that, you know? So I might try to do that. I might include this in the video where I rearrange my ColourPop palettes and see if I can get that pan out. So otherwise, I will be decluttering it, but I just kind of want to get that specific shade because it's very pretty. Look how gorgeous that is. So yeah, I'll try to pull that out, but this is going in like the declutter pile. All right, next couple of stacks. This is my original Naked palette, the one that I got in the 8th grade. So obviously I don't put it on my eyes anymore because that would be disgusting. But I do hold on to it because this was my first like big girl palette. This really kind of got me into the love of makeup, the love of eyeshadow, doing eyeshadow looks and stuff. So I can't bring myself to ever fully let it go. So I keep it around as more of just a sentimental piece and not something that I'm actually using on my face. This one, though, I do use. This is the Naked Honey, and this color story was just right up my alley. The warm tones with the gold shimmers, that's literally my bread and butter, so this was an easy purchase for me when I saw it go like half off at some point, I think. So that was when I picked this up, and I'm really glad I did. I think it's super pretty. This one is also such an OG, the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. Still smells like peach. I never pull for this. I guess I'm outgrown the color story a little bit. The quality's still okay. I feel like I just don't think about it also. But similar to the Naked palette, I feel like this was just such a moment. And I'm gonna hang on to it because it's kind of like, I don't know. I'm sure this is obvious from how many I've said this about, but it's like keeping little pieces of my makeup journey, you know, and just remembering how exciting they were at the time is still fun for me. So I do want to pull this out and actually use it though, because I feel like it is still a good palette, you know? This is a random palette that I picked up on a whim from like a Marshall's. It's the Revolution Pro Night and Day palette. I picked it up because they're clearly duping the Pat McGrath Mothership 1, I believe it is, color story. And you know, I don't hate it, actually. The sparkly shimmer shades are certainly not the same quality as Pat McGrath, but they're pretty. And you know, I'm cool with it. It makes good looks. I like the matte quality. The baked formula is actually really easy and nice to work with. So, you know, is it like groundbreaking? No, but I do like it. So why not? This one though, I got this, again, my mom passed this on to me from a subscription box. It's from Il Makiage. It's called the Color Boss Master Palette. It's just a kind of boring neutral palette. The shimmers are, for me anyway, I really like super high impact, shiny, sparkly stuff. And for me, the shimmers are pretty lackluster. The matte formula is nice, but again, I have so many neutral palettes that it's like, what is really the point? So this one can go as well. This is my LA Girl Keep It Playful in Downplay. This one I am obsessed with. I love the quality of this. Seriously, their eyeshadows are so top-notch for being at the price that they are, and I love this color story so much. This one is the Playmate palette. I like the color story of this one a little bit less. I feel like I don't love the kind of orangey mattes with like a taupe shimmer and then like pinks. But I do still really like the quality of the palette, and this lid shade especially is like, holy crap, so beautiful. Yeah, so I still really like it, but I like it less than the other one. This is the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette, and you know what? I actually really like this. I do. I know it's so old school and so basic, but I actually really, really like this. This is really good for like, if you need a look to throw together for a professional thing, an interview, whatever. It makes really nice, basic looks, and it does it well. The quality is great. It smells fantastic, so yeah, I'm keeping this one as well. This is my one Odin's Eye palette, and I really need to try more because apparently their eyeshadow formula has only improved since this one. This is the Alva palette. I think it's super cute. I really like the color story. The shimmers are super sparkly and pretty. And I don't know, it just feels really light and whimsical and fun to play with, so I'm a fan of that one. And I like supporting indie brands where I can. Finally in this stack, we have the Nabla Side by Side Nude palette. This is probably my favorite Nabla palette. If I could just keep one, it would be this. It will give you every neutral look known to mankind, and it will do it better than most of the neutral palettes out there. It's so good. The quality is so top tier. The shimmers are super high impact. The mattes are silky smooth. I just literally cannot sing the praises of this palette enough. You know, I fear we're gonna have to get into some stacks that if you are looking for like hardcore decluttering, you should prepare to be disappointed. Yeah, it's my girls, Natasha and Pat. You know none of these are going anywhere, so I'm gonna go quickly, but I am gonna show you everything I have because these are the pride and joy, the gems of my collection, of course. And really, when I say that, mainly I mean my mothership palettes, obviously. This, though, is a little 5-pan that I picked up on her website on sale. Just a really beautiful little color story. I literally got this in the mail today, so I cannot wait to try it. It looks gorgeous. The shimmers are not like the special shade formula, but I'm okay with that. They're still super high quality. It's friggin' Pat McGrath, so I'm excited to play with that one. But of course, I think we all know that the motherships are where it's at. I realized that I hadn't grabbed my Mega Mothership palettes, so I have those now as well. Let me show you the jewels of my collection, truly. So this was my first Mothership palette, and it remains my favorite. This is Mothership 5 Bronze Seduction. I will try very hard not to blind you with the packaging. Just the most beautiful color story in the world. Then my newest one is Mothership 10 Moonlit Seduction. And it is, of course, also unbelievable. You know I have to show you the duochrome, right? I can't open this palette and not touch the duochrome because it is absolutely spectacular. It's even shiftier and more dimensional in person. No one does it like Pat. No one. Then we have Divine Rose 1, which is perfect for the mauve and neutral lovers like myself. Definitely the most everyday friendly option, but it still packs a punch. That gold pink duochrome and that sparkly shade are very impactful. And finally, we have kind of the one that broke the internet. This is Mothership 8 Divine Rose 2. And it has that ever-famous multi-chrome that starts magenta and flashes lime green. So that is very special indeed. A collector's dream to have this palette, truly. And then, of course, we have the larger holiday palettes. This is last year's palette, which is the Celestial Nirvana. This one wasn't as well received as the ones in the past, I think. I'm not sure why, because for me, this performs beautifully. The colorful shadows, in my experience, the formula is every bit as good as the previous year's palette. So I'm a fan of this one, and I'm very glad I have it. And then, of course, we have the one that came the year before that, the Celestial Odyssey. A gorgeous, much more neutral inclined color story, but definitely with those pops of color like that green and blue. Absolutely stunning. So, yes, of course, none of my Pat McGrath collection is going anywhere. You can bury me with my Pat McGrath palettes. So now we move on to Natasha, who I also love very dearly. We'll start with my mini collection. This is the Mini Love palette. Very cute little pinky mauve color story. The Mini Zendo palette. I really love these two shimmers. They're super interesting and dimensional. My mini Biba palette, which took a tumble earlier, but thankfully is okay. These two pans are kind of popping out, but that's all right. I can make it work. That shimmer shade single-handedly convinced me to buy this palette. It is so sparkly and gorgeous. My mini nude, she has seen better days. I would actually like to get a replacement because this is my favorite of the mini palettes and I love being able to travel with it. But I can't really do that with it in this state. So I will likely replace this one in the near future. And the mini retro palette. This sparkly one over here, ugh, so gorgeous. I then have a couple of the larger 5 pans that got sent out in BoxyCharms. This is the Peak palette. Really easy warm tone neutral look. And then this is the Ayana palette. This like pewter, little bit greeny shimmer is so nice to work with. And then, of course, the MIDI palettes. We have my bronze palette, which I am utterly in love with as a girly who loves neutrals and particularly warm tones. Stunning. We have the Retro Glam palette. When I saw this, I knew I had to have it. It is a color story that is unlike anything else in my collection. And that's hard to do when you have as many palettes as I do. So this is such a unique color story, and I really enjoy it. This might actually be my favorite of the MIDI palettes. This is the Retro palette. I definitely wasn't expecting this to be as much of a favorite as it has become, but I love this thing so much. The tones are just flawless. And finally, my most recent acquisition, the Zendo palette. I really like the color story of this one. I love the addition of those blues and greens. I feel like it makes it so much fun to play around with, and it makes me feel creative, which is always something that I look for in an eyeshadow palette, so I love this one as well. Obviously, none of my Natasha collection is going anywhere either. All right, y'all, last couple of stacks. Let's do this thing. This is the Viseart Neutral Mattes Milieu palette. I like the color story, but I am going to pass it on for 2 reasons. 1, I just don't really reach for all matte palettes very often. And 2, this, I think, was manufactured specifically for BoxyCharm because it's not the same as a regular Viseart palette. Number 1, the pans are not magnetic. In a normal Viseart palette, they are. And number 2, the quality of these is fine, but it's not $80 matte palette quality. You know what I mean? So it's fine. Somebody will get good use out of it, but I almost never reach for it because it doesn't really give the experience, you know? This one is the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes. I still love this. I don't care that it's old. Still smells like peaches. The quality of these is phenomenal. Seriously, like probably Too Faced's best ever palette, and I stand by that 100%. This one though, this is the sparkling pineapple one from Too Faced. This was like a brief moment in time when they were coming out with all the fruit stuff. I just liked this because I dig like neutral gold warm tones. There's a duochrome, that kind of thing. I literally never use it, so it's time to just let it go, even though the packaging is very adorable. I found a straggler. This is from XX Revolution. It's the quad in X Exposed. It is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk quad, and I do like it. It's a simple little quad. It makes a pretty look. I'm glad I have it, you know? Keeps me away from the Charlotte Tilbury one. This is from Makeup Revolution. It's the collab with Emily Noel. It's the Needs palette. This is fine, but it's just kind of basic for me. And I never use the face products anyway, so I don't really have a use for this. Somebody else will. This is from Midas Cosmetics. It's the Flower Bomb palette. This is fine. There's nothing wrong with the quality. It's just A, very colorful, which is not something I really go for as much these days. And B, every shimmer in here, save for like these two, is a pressed glitter, and that's just so much more trouble than it's worth. It's fine though, there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't really, this doesn't really have a role for me anymore. This one is the Violet Voss Flamingo palette. When this came out, I was immediately completely suckered in by the color story. And I do like it, but I never reach for this, ever. And I feel like I should, because it's really pretty and I like the shades. Yeah, I'm going to hang on to it this time. I thought I might get rid of it, but no, I'm going to hang on to it this time. And if I haven't used it at least a few times by the next time I'm evaluating it, then I'm going to have to let it go. But I'm going to make a concerted effort to do some looks with this. Last stack, here we go. This is my Nabla Miami Lights glitter palette. I don't use pressed glitter a lot, but these are sensational, so I am very glad that I have this one. Nabla just makes the best stuff. While we're on the subject, we have my Nabla Cutie palettes. I am obsessed with these. There is no way that I'm getting rid of any of them, but I will show them to you quickly. This is the Wildberry Cutie palette. I love that gorgeous duochrome shade, Alchemy 2.0. The Nude Cutie palette, another favorite. Gorgeous formulas, beautiful, easy neutral looks, you know? Next, we have the Coral Cutie palette. I love this sparkly orange shade. It's so pretty. The Platinum Cutie palette, which has the most bonkers silver eyeshadow literally ever manufactured. I have to show it to you because it's crazy. Like, what? I've never used a crazier silver in all my life. It's so good. And finally, we have the Cutie Analog palette. Another really gorgeous, warm-toned neutral option. I love this orange, gold, sparkly shade. Super, super pretty. Final palette from Nabla is the Secret palette. I love the packaging of this one, and the color story is gorgeous. It makes me feel really creative, which again is something really special in a palette for me. And believe it or not, the shade that made me buy the palette was actually this one. And it looks like a very unassuming white sparkly shade, right? But no, it is a beautiful, chunky, piecey mint green. Oh, the camera doesn't even do it justice. It is such a minty, like, it's not even fully mint. It's like somewhere between a minty green and a lime green. I love it so much. So obviously I love this palette. This one was a collab between Midas Cosmetics and Smoky Glow, a creator I absolutely adore. And the color story is absolutely gorgeous. I love these colors. These shimmers are bonkers. So love this, love Hannah. So obviously that's staying. And finally, I have the Nude Prism palette from Lunar Beauty, which is Manny MUA's brand. I love these colors. My neutral loving heart is so obsessed. The formula is super, super beautiful, creamy, rich. And for a neutral color story, I feel like this one is kind of unique. It's got these like pinks and peaches and then like mustardy tones, mauve-y tones, this deep burgundy. It's unique for a neutral palette and I really enjoy it. Those shimmers are also crazy beautiful. And that was the last one, so let me grab the declutter pile and we will see how we did. You guys, I counted them up, 23 eyeshadow palettes. That is the declutter pile for this. I am super proud of that. That's my best eyeshadow declutter by far, as long as I've had a collection. And you know what? I feel good about it. I feel like I'm really going to make some room for, number one, the things that I already have, and number two, the things that I get in the future that I am more likely to use and love. By the way, I will be depotting some of the shades from the ColourPop palettes and trying to pry out that Fenty shade. So again, if you want to see that on camera, let me know in the comments down below. All right, you guys, we did it. That is the end of my massive eyeshadow palette declutter. If you made it to the end, please leave a like down below if you enjoyed it. Also, leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite eyeshadow palette is. I would love to hear your recommendations. And if you want to see the rest of my declutter series and all of the fun content I have planned for the new year in 2024, please hit subscribe. I would absolutely love to have you. And until the next one, bye you guys.